Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I'm your host, Shady Groove, joined by my co-host at intheMatrixxx. This is the intheMatrixxx channel on YouTube. It is just after 7 p.m. on the West Coast. It is 10 p.m. on the East Coast. It is Friday night. Thanks everybody for coming around and joining us here on the Q Lounge Live. What a time to be alive. This has been an amazing week. Matrix and I have just been going full speed ahead all week long on the Matrix Groove Hour. We had Paul Saran on, we had JT Wild and Carly Bonet on today, having a lot of fun out there, guys. Please,
Q baby,
Q baby, this week. Wow, what a week it's been.
We
anyone
had the first
out there
one, Shady,
who's new to Q, please let anyone know. Don't be hesitate to ask any questions, to come around and be part of this conversation, guys. I'm telling you, we are making headway in a conversation like you would not believe out there, everyone. We are taking them down every single day, Matrix, over the target every single day. And without any further ado, there he was, talking about our wonderful Q baby that we interviewed yesterday. Matrix, come on in here, my friend.
You know, I'm so sorry, Shady, but you're right. We've been going full steam, full speed ahead. It's so hard to keep up with everything, man. But we had the first live interview of the Q baby, man. I mean, that is a big boom. That's history in the making right there. What a beautiful family. Ellie, Roman, Cassidy. What great people, Shady. Wow.
Ellie, Roman, and Cassidy joined us yesterday. The president pointed at their baby that he was holding up at the rally on the 17th. Oh my gosh! He took a picture of it. We read the Q drops with them, and it was interesting that for them to see the decode going along with the Q drops that came after that. Right? I mean, wow.
Yeah, and Sandy White says, "Oh my God, we love us. We do, we do." And guess who we got next? We got the amazing Tiffany Fitzhenry, and she's going to be talking about what the apocalypse of the elite, guys. And you know, the apocalypse. We've all thought that it was us that's going to be destroyed, but really, the apocalypse means of lifting the veil, the process of revealing the truth. And you know what? That's why I chose one of the reasons why I chose in the Matrix. The Matrix is the perfect allegory for the apocalypse. It's the end for them, guys. We are in the apocalypse. It's a choice that we individually must make. You must learn and think about it and make that choice yourself. It is literally red pill or blue pill, Shady.
That's right, man. And then the energy veil, the evil is what we're here. We're removing that from this plane of existence. And the way we do that is by sharing truth pills, red pills everywhere. Please, everyone, if you're joining us, you are definitely taking a red pill tonight. And like I said, don't hesitate to ask questions with the moderators. And if you do have questions out there for Tiffany, who's going to be coming on, go ahead and you can ask them, and the mods will grab them and send them to us in the background, and we can just be going through this, but without holding you back any longer, our special, wonderful, awesome guest of the evening, Tiffany Fitzhenry, joining us. If you do not know who she is, get over to her site and do some digging, because this lady does some digging. I'm telling you what, we as Anons really respect people that know how to research, and Tiffany goes way back for quite some time. She's been hot on the trail of these guys and inside understanding and knowledge of who they are and what they're up to, and is bringing us some really serious sauce, especially since Q came and helped amplify some of this information. So Tiffany, are you with us out there this evening?
Hey guys, how are you? I'm right here.
All right.
Tiffany's a best-selling author. She's a public speaker. She's a screenwriter, and she is a Hollywood whistleblower. Tiffany, welcome, man. I tell you, so much respect for you. I'm glad to get back in touch with you. This will be the third time that you're on the show, I think.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be back. And this is like, everything's getting electrified now. So this is a really fun time to be back with you guys.
Wow. And we got the mods dropping your website. We will drop your Amazon books. We're going to drop everything we can for these fine folks. We do have the most red-pilled audience on YouTube, so feel free not to hold back, Tiff.
Great. Perfect. I love it.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the different escalations that are going on behind the scenes. I'm sure from your vantage point, Tiffany has worked, like I was saying, on the inside for quite a while, and now is working on setting up some of her own stuff. And maybe you could just, if you just want to just start talking about anything that you feel you have on your mind, because I know that we could really start in 10 different places.
I know, we really could. I mean, what's on my mind right now is how it all connects. I'm spending some time just searching some things and combining some certain terms. Like if you start to combine things that have to do with Epstein in your search, combined with things that have to do with Nexium, combined with things that have to do with Scientology, if you just in Harvey Weinstein and this Maxwell woman who's popped up now, they're all connected, you guys. This is the web of the elite that has held this whole world in place. This is the web that has held Hollywood in place. I tweeted the other day, without pedophilia, without child sex trafficking, there is no Hollywood. And it's really something people are going to need to start wrapping their minds around. So it's like, well, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, why did Penelope Cruz try to get her daughter into Nexium? What does that have to, what are we looking at? And this is a red pill. I mean, it just kind of goes on and on and on. Once you think you're red pilled, it's like, okay, once you think you understand it all, right? Then it's another layer of how it all really connects. And we just need to start to observe and know that we're going to start to really see how this all connects into one disgusting, sick web.
Yeah, and I think that it isn't just about the couple of people that that even Anons, QAnons have been focusing on. I think a lot of folks aren't really understanding that, this goes into the music industry, back into the 60s, into the country music industry, even before that, going back into the very beginning of television, radio, media. They've controlled it all from the very beginning. And like you said, without this ugliness of pedophilia, Hollywood is kind of a misnomer.
Yeah, and prostitution really, think about what Victoria's Secret had to do with Epstein Island. Now we realize it actually had a lot to do with Epstein Island. Well, they just decided not to air the Victoria's Secret show on network television this year for the first time. I mean, you think their elites are in retreat or what? They're in retreat, because we would look at that now and we would know more what that was. So they're taking a step back, and if you know what you're looking at, you really, because of course, I'm sure everybody in your audience knows how the founder and owner and CEO of Victoria's Secret was the main financer of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Everybody's on that page, right? Okay, so it's interesting to note that, people like Naomi Campbell, she's a, former famous Victoria's Secret supermodel, all these, she's connected to not only Epstein, but Weinstein and John of God. And it's to my mind, way of thinking, it's like we're looking at who these people were, sex traffickers,
And it's the whole system is based on this idea of slavery and this idea that we control you and we have dominion over you, and not a lot of what Q has been pointing to, saying you're a sheep to them and they are feeders, and all of this. It isn't innuendo or insinuation. They just being straight up and honest with what the disgusting underbelly or behind the curtain reality of all this is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's so funny to start to understand that when you're doing these kinds of things, obviously your soul is gone. When you're part of this soulless elite that feed off of, literally would sacrifice. Once you start doing these things, your soul just vacates your body, I believe. And a lot of these people have been doing this stuff for generations within their family. And so the truth is that we really have been fed off of, like we've been, they do feed off of us, and access to children has been something that the very privileged have known is how the world runs. And because these people's souls are hollowed out, they have to get energy somewhere, because they're not getting energy from God. They're not getting energy from source, so if they want to, continue, to keep doing what they're doing, it's like it's a system that's hard to really wrap your mind around, because it has to do with so many things. The child abuse has to do with MK Ultra. It has to do with creating these Manchurian candidates, but it also has to do with creating trauma, and it has to do with being having a food source for this feeder system.
That kind of ties into the Georgia. Why is Hollywood leaving Georgia? And that's a question from Crux. And he said exactly why are they leaving Georgia, and exactly what does that have to do with the filmmaking? That's a Crux question.
Well, it's interesting to note that there were, I just posted on my Twitter, I believe 9 arrests, a big sting of a child sex trafficking sting today. The Justice Department announced 9 arrests in the state of Georgia. So it's interesting that over the last year, we've watched a changing of the guard of the government here in Georgia, particularly, and our sex trafficking we were number 1 for is being cleaned up like it's being cleaned up everywhere else. So it's, is that why Hollywood came here in the first place? Is that why they're now kind of leaving? I don't know. It seems interesting, the timing.
Is it the heartbeat bill? Because you were just saying that if they can't get their energy from children and whatnot, is that what it is? Is it politics? Many blood-sucking insects, right?
Yeah, it's so funny if you were to really nail somebody down in Hollywood and say, all right, well, we make movies, so why do we have to pull out of Georgia because of, the heartbeat bill? They would say, well, that's politics or whatever, but you would just answer back and say, but we make movies. I don't I don't understand. Yeah. And it absolutely paints the picture and begs the question that, well, what are the movies that Hollywood makes? What's the point of them? Is it thought control? Is it political control? Is it social control?
Or all of the
So
above.
yeah, I mean, they're kind of being not that covert about it anymore because they can't. I don't think it's
Right.
all coming out.
Yeah, right. And if you kind of pull back and you sort of look at the whole, like, the whole distance of Hollywood starting back in the 30s and the 40s, and how they kind of got our whole society sucked into this idea of a film, and the good guy wins, and all of these different narratives that we sort of, I sort of grew up with, the great movies of the 80s and early 90s. And now, I mean, I really do strain to watch anything that is being produced. Whether it's a TV show or a movie, it is all really psychotically written. Nothing connects to itself. There's no overarching moral value. No one has, no one fixes anything. If there's an issue between a parent and a child, the representation example is more chaos, not how to love and how to forgive and how to move into a more thorough conversation with somebody that doesn't feel understood. That is gone from anything that you look at, and they are really trying to emulate that, cause us to project that in our real lives.
That's been the purpose of Hollywood.
Yep.
For 100 years, because the power that we have as humanity and the power that we have as this collective is really the power to create this reality. We are shown all these movies, and we've been shown all these movies that say, this is what your history is. This is what your country is. This is what these wars are. And here's what you should want. And here's the life you should build. And here's what you should be happy with. And, instilling our reality in us so that's the reality that we create, which just makes you understand, if you have to tell us all this, we could turn around and say, well, then that means, in essence, we have all the power. If you have to brainwash us, that actually just means that we have all the power.
And we forgot our power, and we are now we're figuring it out as a group right here together right now. Amazing.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and learning how to work together. I think that's what Q has been really, really diligent with, is teaching us that we need to be working together, and not only working together, but talking to other people and letting others know that that there's really more to this than there's this whole area that's current with the president. The conversation should be about a deep state coup. The conversation with Epstein should be about child trafficking, and instead they pivot it to Alex Acosta. And now it's interesting, though, because with that pivot, they've got Kamala Harris and a few other attorneys in a pickle here, because they've made the same deals with sexual predators in their districts as prosecutors, and I think that's going to come around. So the whole Alex Acosta thing, the Scaramucci model is sort of starting to unfold there, and Hollywood is coming apart, Tiffany. They are really making some commentary out there on Twitter that is not only perverse, but revealing.
Yeah, I think if you've been paying attention, you've seen them fighting for their lives. This isn't about politics. At least 2 years ago, you could have been like, this is different. This is weird. This is absolutely not business as usual, politics as usual. Someone represents an existential threat to these people. And before we even knew any of this, before Q was even on the scene, it was, what is the threat that you are under? How is this a threat to your existence? And now we're really starting to see, look, Courtney Love, Alec Baldwin, name after name after name, beyond just the Kevin Spaceys and the Bob Harvey Weinsteins. You've got big names, huge names, all in the black book of Jeffrey Epstein, connected to essentially, who was connected to intelligence, who is, a lot of people are stipulating Mossad and all these things. You're really starting to see what Hollywood actually was. And it wasn't, that's what they're fighting to preserve. It wasn't, these are the most talented people who are the best actors on the planet, and that's why there are celebrities. No, no, these are the people who were willing to go to Epstein Island. These are the people who are willing, these are the women who, would go meet with Harvey Weinstein. These are the ones who were born into it. it's really just revealing itself now. It's unbelievable.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. And no one is outside of the black male. You know, you're either the black male or the black male e. You're really not outside of the game.
No, you have to allow yourself to be owned. And we've got these big shadowy figures like Henry Kissinger, right? All of these, you know, it's funny to note that Epstein was considered in these elite circles of DC and Hollywood, and yet he was on, you know, the Council on Foreign Relations, and he was on the Trilateral Commission, and, you know, brought in by the Rockefeller family. What with the Rockefeller Foundation, I'm sorry, what we're really looking at is how you create controlled influence. That is what it really comes down to. Our world was run on a system of controlled influence. So if they elevated you if they put your song on the radio 75,000 times a week and let you become Taylor Swift, well, then that came with a lot of, you know, stipulations. You had to push the agendas and do this and do that. And we haven't really had a music industry. We haven't really had a movie industry. We've just had, you know, propaganda wings of the globalist world order.
And why are they doing all these remakes? Why can't they create something new and entertaining, right?
Because they can't create.
Right.
Because all the light has left Hollywood. I mean, you know, I know that people like me who were being told to do and put in these things and, you know, you got to go meet with this person. You got to let this person do this to you. My soul's just not there for that. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to be much more apt to just turn around and go tell everybody, you know, what I know, because that's just how I'm made. People like me are not, you know, down, you know, not down for that. And people like me, they need us because the darkness cannot create. You know, Mark Taylor said that to me, and it was like a gong went off, you know, in my brain because it made everything make sense. All of my experiences, it was like, we really want to bring you in, but, you know, well, it's like, well, you need me. Well, why do you know what I mean? But it's like, they cannot create. And that's why when you look at the movie thing right now, it's like, literally, look, it could be 1990. We've got Chucky, you know, we've got literally, it looks like it did in 1990. Exactly. They're all being remade. And there is no ability to tap into where it all comes from. And this is,
Tiffany, what does the Hollywood mean?
It's about casting spells. I mean, the original word Hollywood, the etymology of the word, and this is something that people didn't really talk about even a few years ago, and now all of a sudden it's, you know, really been put into our consciousness to really dig into these actual things, and that is about casting spells. So these wizards and these, you know, occultists would use the branches of the holly tree to make wands.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you know, and then you start looking at things like Mickey Mouse with his wand and Harry Potter and all this, you know, imagery of wizardry.
Everything your kids are exposed to from very, very young.
Yeah, and what people too, Potter is a witch. So Harry Potter is a hairy witch.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, and witches need to do things like rituals and spells because they're not pulling from the same life force that we don't need to do. We don't need to do spells. You know, we've got the power of the light moving through us.
Yes.
And that's why they've had to brainwash us because we're the ones with the power of the light. And that's why they need to do things like, you know, kill chickens and sacrifice people to Moloch and, you know, do rituals because they're trying to summon power from someplace. They have but we have it innately.
Yes, exactly. And they're also trying to get you to invite them in. You know, they're trying to convince you to make an invitation. But once you've made an invitation, then you are able to be manipulated. And that is kind of like the whole trick that they've been working on, is giving us this this curiosity that instigates an invitation where people ask for, you know, their soul to be sold or ask for, you know, riches to be blessed upon them and any of this stuff. And it's like they're right there as soon as you do that.
Well, take Oprah, for example, who is someone you know, I'm not going to go too hard against her at this moment, but her day is coming because she's connected to all of this. We've seen the pictures of her with Weinstein. We've seen the creepy pictures of her sort of offering that girl to him. She was very connected to John of God and spent time down there. And how could you not know there was an actual sex slave farm on the property that you were at? I don't know how you could quite be there and not know children were being sold around the world to the highest bidder from that location, unless you're just, not as smart as, the world thinks you are. But she is somebody who was really a false everything. So to the giving your audience, like, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. It's this sort of satanic axiom of everything that is imploding in government right now, socialism and all this stuff. It's like, we generate, we can manifest, and there is no scarcity. We don't need to be these grubby, clawing over each other beings who need to just worship people like Jay-Z because they have money and we don't. That's all part of the big lie. And that's all part of what Hollywood has tried to pull over us. And that's all falling apart. And it's part of someone like Oprah, selling all these false narratives, being this false prophet and saying, oh, look at this guy, John of God. Look at this spirituality thing over here. Look at that. I mean, she was, controlled opposition for spirituality, controlled opposition for Hollywood. She used to talk about things like Satanism back in the 80s. If you go look at the clips of her show, she was the original controlled influence, the original controlled opposition, because people were interested in that at that time. Because back then there was this whole thing that happened with the satanic panic and all of these, the Franklin scandal, and the preschools that had these kids claiming that they were taken underground and being sexually abused, and everybody freaked out. And so then what did they do? They had Oprah swoop in and, do some shows and act really interested in all this. And it's, what we've been looking at, and just the connections with Ellen and her show and the Weinstein building. I mean, you've seen those pictures, right?
Oh yeah.
It all goes together with Hollywood. And it's in it.
Yeah. You mean the Epstein building? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she had, today I got suspended off Twitter for, today they said that Mike Obama was the most influential or whatever respected woman. And I said, woman. And then I posted, I know I went a little too far, but I said, what does Joan Rivers have to say about Michelle Obama? Oh boy.
And he ended up with a 12-hour suspension for a tweet that he's already deleted.
You were in timeout.
He got put in timeout.
Yep.
And interesting.
So we got it.
Interestingly enough,
questions too.
Interesting. What you were hitting into there a second ago, Tiff. Is I remember when I was younger that you remember Phil Donahue was bringing a lot of attention to this stuff way back then before Oprah. He was having quite a number of people come on and talk about the satanic ritual abuse and even calling out some of the Hollywood people way back then. And then all of a sudden, Oprah got real popular and he kind of went away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting,
Exactly.
It's interesting how they've, manipulated the conversation to be, like what Q is telling us, we've lost our power. That's the same thing that what you're saying right there is, we have that power, we have that ability to manifest out of light, out of the creative spirit. We can wield against these entities with absolutely no effort. All you have to do is shine the light of love and they dissipate and they can't be near you. So that's the whole trick, is to keep us in this low frequency, concerned about someone else, consistently attacking each other and being jealous and envious and then egotistical and narcissistic. That every single thing that you watch in the media reflects that, and that is why they're so afraid of people like you, Tiffany, and that's why they're so afraid of us and Q and the president really talking to people. I mean, their brainwashing mechanism is fading fast out here.
It really is. It's incredible to watch, and every day it's just kind of, it's all working less and less, and you watch it all, you watch these powers that be become more and more desperate. But to your point, to somebody like Alyssa Milano, I know that she's almost like a little punching bag right now. I feel sad for her because I think that someone like that is really nothing more than a mind control slave. I know
Yeah.
that. I mean, this is somebody who has been in it since she was a very little child.
Very far in debt with them.
She's married to her handler,
Right.
literally married. These agents are handlers. I mean, that's what these agents and managers, at the highest levels really are. And what people don't understand is, to create someone like an Ariana Grande, right? You're going to have a bunch of Bella Thornes that fall along the wayside, right? Who it didn't really work on. But if someone's like an Alyssa Milano, and she's been in Hollywood all these years, this girl's been ritually abused her whole life. And so now she's like a point and shoot, ball of influence, right? So right now, it's like she's just being basically, I mean, this is another level of abuse for this person. And what I would love to do is just hug somebody like that in front of everybody and just make it, bring her in and be like, what's been done to you? And because I think a lot of these people are really scared and they need to feel safe. And I'd love to see people stop attacking some of these people a little bit, only because I don't know. I think that we need to remember that these people that have been in it since they were little children are not really what you're being triggered to think they are because of politics.
I,
She's
I
just being,
agree with that.
you know.
Yeah, I do. I totally agree with that. I think that a lot of them are scared, and you look at people like Corey Feldman and Corey Haim and those guys and what they went through, man, and River Phoenix. I mean, all of these people,
Yeah.
were no one that made it was really outside of it, and they are all people who had a creative spirit and people who genuinely wanted to bring their light to the world and share their light on the screen or share their light in music or in art or whatever it is. And anyone who has good qualities or good content, they just suck them in, manipulate them, and then twist that around. And the next thing you know, they're completely off balance, blackmailed, and confused, and truly not to be scorned in the same way. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Britney Spears. I think we're going to get a glimpse into the whole thing because right now there's a court case going on where her mom, who was cut out of her life, and this is another thing they do. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
doing Scientology, right?
Yep, I was going to say Scientology.
They isolate people. Her mom in New York, I believe, they have a court case that there's an investigation going on now into her conservatorship because she was being drugged and she's been drugged all her life. This is part of how MK Ultra works. There's several components that are put together: sexual abuse, the drugging, like the meds, and there's brainwashing with sleep deprivation. And when all these celebrities go into rehab and all of these places, these are not normal rehabs that you and I would go into if we had a addiction. They're different types of places.
Yeah, so definitely Britney Spears. She's obviously part of that satanic secret of celebrities. She's mind controlled. That you've got, who is it? Marilyn Monroe is one of the first ones. Jane Mansfield, Princess Diana, Lady Grace Kelly, Madonna, Britney Spears, Anna Nicole Smith, and others. Do you remember when Britney Spears went into that place called Esther's to get her head shaved? I believe it was her programming was wearing off at that time. And there's several times where Madonna and Britney, they all speak in an English accent.
Mm-hmm.
Another a symptom of this programming. I mean,
It's an altar. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a girl who's a Disney star who I've been following pretty closely. I know I have an inside connection with her, and she's a very big Christian. Her name's Allison Stoner, and she was on Camp Rock, which is a Disney movie. And she tweeted, I've been watching her since she tweeted a little while back, ask Disney what happened to me on the set of Camp Rock that I've had to keep secret all these years. And she just shaved her head last week.
Yeah, so they love the blondes. They don't like tattoos on them, and that's why she shaved her head. As I guess that was Freeman. I've looked at Freeman, freemantv.com if you guys ever want to check that guy out. Some interesting stuff on him, but he did some really good stuff on the MK Ultra, the Mickey Mouse Club, the sex cults, Madonna, pedophile rings, Britney, Anna Nicole Smith. Remember that weird interview when she drew like she made herself like a clown, and the Howard Stern guy, but not the Howard Stern, hey now, but different guy.
Howard Stern. He was like controlling her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Handler.
Yep. So some very, very interesting stuff, guys. Tiffany, I want to just tell you that I love this tweet that you did about 13 hours ago. I don't know if this is your quote. It's "Welcome to the Elite Apocalypse." Is that your quote?
Yes. Yeah.
I want to read it. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. It's this, Tiff. Welcome to the Elite Apocalypse. You will now see the destruction and total reversal of the entire power structure of this planet. Humanity has never seen anything like it before. Welcome to the Golden Age. Welcome to a brand new Earth of which we are the builders and pioneers. Tiffany Fitzhenry, beautiful.
Yeah, it's what I see. It's what I feel. It's what I know that we're all a part of. And it's, these things are just making themselves obvious as we go along, right? We've all been under this spell for so long that this was the way the world worked. This was the way money worked. This was the way, politics worked and government. This was the point of government. It was to do this and that. And it's all been this huge lie. And it's amazing to be alive now and to be a part of all of it falling apart and to conceive of, well, what will we build? What do we want to build? Well, we can build whatever we want. How do we want this? There was a quote from the 70s. I think it was Terrence McKenna, I think his name is. And he said, back in the 70s, he said, we have everything we need to build an absolute human paradise. We have everything we need to do that. And it's exciting to think of what we'll create. Go ahead.
Let me read you a quote from Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. The purpose of government is to rein in the rights of the people. Do you believe that? I mean, that is an actual Bill Clinton post, because government is gubernare, it's to control, and mente is the mind. The very word government is mind control. So having an external man-made government with control, fear, it's chaos. Natural law is what we need to understand. It's together we win. Let me see. Martin Luther King says, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expendicy asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take the position of what is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but one must take it because it's right. I mean, their deepest fear is for us to be awake and to understand that government, the one that we have right now, running us, is not actually a good thing. And I think
it's not necessary.
This is part of that great awakening. It's not necessary. Exactly.
That's the point. We're well and good to govern ourselves. That is the way the Constitution was written. That's what it really meant. And as from the moment that document was signed and we were freed from the controls of totalitarianism, they were diligently working behind the scenes to rein in that control. And we are seeing a moment in time where, like what Tiff is saying there is in that tweet is absolutely epic, because she's exactly over the target with that comment. Look what we could do. We have everything. We know what great, awesome content is, whether it's music or whether it's art, or whether it's filmmaking, documentation, truth revealing, anything that reveals truth, and anything that uses humor, and anything that breathes patriotism. All of those different aspects coming together to create is kind of what we were all. That's what my generation. That's what we were. Even we were talking about this the other day, Matrix. We were taught in school to be anti-authoritarian. We were taught to question even what was being told to us in school. Since 9/11, man, we've really deteriorated on that debate. I mean, I think I saw a poll just a week or so ago that said 60-something% of high school seniors thought that the government should be the omnipotent in control last say in any situation. I mean, and then they go to college, and then that's reinforced by the liberal layer, and then they select the ones that go to Harvard and Yale, and then those are conveniently put in positions to harvest the bounty of the weak minds. And so, that's why people are so afraid of us, Tiff, and so interested in coming at us the way they do, I think, is because we're very effective, we're very compassionate, and we bring love and light, and the idea of cherishing that has become a backseat part of the conversation. And with content and new creative energy, we can build anything we want, guys.
Well, it's so exciting. I mean, you guys, I get contacted every day. I can't even, I won't even go into all the exciting and amazing projects that I'm being pitched. And these are things that I say every day, no network will ever put this on. Yeah. But, they won't, no, Netflix would never touch this. I know. I'm like, well, I want to make it because this is so compelling, or that's so compelling, because we have been fed such a it's gone narrower and narrower and narrower. But, once these stories are unleashed, it's going to be just an apocalypse of light, because everybody's so starved and they don't even really realize it or know it. I mean, imagine, getting to see types of, I won't spoil anything, but types of series and types of shows that show you perspectives that you were never allowed to see. Soldiers talking about what it was really like and why they really have PTSD and what were we really doing over there.
Yes.
Really telling you stories that we've never been allowed to know as Americans. And, you start there and it's just a Pandora's box, of how we've been so held back in every way.
Well, I mean, we know that 20 plus of these guys are killing themselves every day, so there's a lot more to this story than any of us are hearing. And honestly, I think that if we had some sort of forum for veterans to speak out loud and be heard by more Americans, I think we would save a lot of lives, because
what do you think reality TV was supposed to be?
Right. Very true.
And that's the kind of shows I would make. I mean, if to have an entire network, or the new earth version of a network, it's all different types of programming. And this is what storytellers do best, is bring these stories to life.
Right.
So they don't need a forum any more than they need real art to exist. They need real storytellers at the helm.
So you're talking about like how many there's a question here. First of all, Sandy White, can I get a hello for Friday night? Hello, Sandy White. Say hello, Shady.
Hello, Sandy.
Hey.
In the house.
Even Tiffany says hi to Sandy, right?
Hey, what's up?
All right. So Tiffany, how many companies how many companies oversee all of the thousands of channels that we watch every day? That's one of the questions that we got for you.
There truly are 5. There are truly 5 conglomerates that are these giant behemoths. There were 6, and now there's 5 as of last year, that it create the illusion of choice. You think you have 1,000 choices. You think you have 10,000 choices to watch, but there are 5 siphons through which everything's coming, and every single one of those people is in control of those, is in the same elite club. So you really don't have but one. It's all coming from one pipeline, the elite.
And like you were saying there, that this is the illusion that they were multiple different companies, is kind of connected all the way back to everything that we're discussing. Whenever you say your media, all your food producers, your social media, everything, plastics, you take it through, sugar, everything in our society is engineered on this model, this exact model of entrepreneurship builds up industry, and then the big guys that are in charge of the Federal Reserve come through and undermine you and take what is yours for pennies on the dollar and buy you out, pretend like what you have is not worth anything, and then they put that back in, and they own it again, and that's how they've gotten That's how they've gotten all of us to leave our family farms and go live in cities. I mean, 50, 60 years ago, we were all living we were all living in way more rural areas than we are today.
Yeah, and I think that I haven't talked a lot publicly about how I feel about the millennials, and I will start.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I will start to do so because I love the millennials.
I
I
do
want to
too.
just hug every one of them, and I want to just tell them that they knew in their hearts that we were supposed to go back to the land,
Hmm.
and they were shamed for it. And the way that they are innately is from God. They care about consciousness. They care about where food comes from. And they were supposed to help take us back to the land. Instead, they're committing suicide at higher rates than any generation before, and they're all stuck in cubicles and being shamed for these innate things that God has put into them. And it's so all of that, and the generation coming up behind them, Generation Z, they're wired for the truth. It has to be the truth. That is, if you were to boil down one thing about that generation that is the reciprocal of what the millennials sort of wanting to go back to the land, it is, if it's not the truth, they will find the truth, and they will not compromise until they find the truth. And so this is all by design. This is the grand design. It's a sort of fail safe, so that we would make this shift, and we would have to make this shift, and we would know how to.
And it's really amazing to see how many of them out there. One thing that Matrix and I have discussed a couple of times is, the presence and the interesting adventures of Donald Trump, and the way that his show, The Apprentice, over 12 or 13 years or so that he ran on that show, really did give the millennials a little bit of an insight into who he actually was, and that he was a businessman and understanding business in a different way, and a lot of credibility that he built up with those people leading up to him running for office. I think that, looking back from here, it was a really, I think, a included strategy for him winning this election in 2016.
Real quick, special shout out to iPod, who's in the house. What's up
Hey,
in Pursuit of
iPod.
Truth?
Hey,
What's
buddy.
up, brother?
Nice to see you out there. Hope everything is well
Dun
with
dun
you. Dun,
dun.
dun,
That's a heavy.
dun. Just hanging out here, guys. If anybody's just joined us, we're hanging here with Tiffany Fitzhenry, and she, like I said at the beginning of the show, is a monster researcher. She's been digging in on these Hollywood creepy guys for a long, long time, long before Q, and is currently working on lots and lots of fun projects. And we're really hoping that in the near future we're in a collaborative effort with her, because I really do respect and appreciate everything that she has to say and everything that you've brought to this conversation, Tiffany. I'm not sure, maybe you're even aware of how much you've helped anons out there with their research and stuff, by being able to see the information that you're putting out by the Clintons and all of the other Hollywood people, and how this is all connected behind the scenes. It really can't go understated how amazing you are, and how much we as Q people appreciate all of your work and research over the years.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, this was not a road that I conceived for myself. I did not think that this is what, the road I was going down. But, that whole saying of the plans you have for yourself are nothing compared to the plans God has for you. So I think that I was, content to think, oh, just, make my TV show, make my movies, that would be the most amazing thing. And I realized, no, I think I'm supposed to, bring it down and build something new, which I never, and God bless all the people who are awake and listening, and who are so tired of seeing these narratives and understanding what Hollywood's role in it and what it's all being done to us, and so ready for something new. I mean, the way that people are so engaged is unbelievable. Those, all of those people who are so engaged are doing just as much as somebody like me, who's got some story to tell and some role, a visible role in this. Everybody is literally a huge part of this.
All right, we got another question. What about Gwen Stefani? And I saw somebody else wanted to ask your thoughts and opinions on Isaac Cappy as well.
Mm. Somebody like Gwen Stefani is in my opinion, a lot like somebody like Fergie. I don't think Gwen Stefani had the same. Somebody like Fergie came up through the Disney system. People forget that about her, but she's like a Britney Spears. But Gwen Stefani is somebody who I believe is scared. Roseanne said, it was maybe about 2012 on RT when they were interviewing her. She said, "There's a big culture of fear in Hollywood," and I think that these people take part in these rituals and they do this stuff. And you've seen these pictures of Gwen Stefani at these weird dinners, wearing these lab coats, doing God knows what. She was very young when she went into Hollywood. She was very, very young when she began her music career. And I don't think that there's a return policy on your soul. I don't think that once you're in, I think there's one way out. And, people like Heath Ledger are a testament to that.
Right.
People like the people the two band guys who were killed. I can't remember their name. Chester Bennington. You don't get to come out once you're in. It's like the mob. Mm-hmm. So somebody like Gwen Stefani, I don't know specifically, but I look at her and I look at her and I see anxiety. I look at her and I see, illusion and probably a lot of meds. She's probably on a lot of meds. These people are not like living a life, I don't think, especially not the life you think they are. And I think Reese Witherspoon's about to crack that one. They're really going out of their way to associate Oprah with her. If you start to pay attention, because Reese Witherspoon has this, squeaky clean America, apple pie image, and everybody can see the writing on the wall with what's happening with Oprah, and the elites know what Oprah is. I believe Oprah is a high level person. I don't think, she's a very high level person.
She has a broom.
Yeah. And to become the high level person that she's become, I believe Epstein type things are involved on in a leadership way, not in a way that, you took part in this, or, it goes on. It's, you did build that girls' school in Africa and there was that dead baby there. And, there's other, you are linked to John of God. And so.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
I look at somebody like Reese Witherspoon and I see, sort of MK Ultra in it since she was very young. When the Harvey Weinstein story broke, she was having weeks where she couldn't even speak. She was having so much PTSD. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
Trauma. She's not a perpetrator so much as she's a victim. And I think similar for, I think there's a lot of people who, if they knew it was safe, I've heard for years that Leonardo DiCaprio is like, get me out of here, but he can't, he's not allowed because they created him and now they're using him and he generates.
They own him.
They own him. Yeah. They own him.
So we were talking about like
pedophile since he was a child. So
we were talking about Oprah and everybody say like OWN, her network OWN is backwards for NWO, but I've also always noticed that her name backwards is Harpo.
Harpo, right.
And in like that's her role within the group, right? She's Harpo, she's the entertainer. If you remember, Harpo back in the day, Harpo was like a clown or a comedian or an entertainer. A jester, right, exactly.
How do these names even, it's like Bronfman means liquor man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is that even? And then, of course, they became Seagrams. It's.
Well, I mean, as far as we know,
they're still the Bronfmans. They ran the drugs for the Oppenheimers. They are a family bloodline, and they actually run Canada.
And it's interesting too. Whenever digging further into this stuff, and you see like what you're saying about the handler, the agent for the movie star. Well, the Bronfmans were the handler or the agents for the Pacer Trust way back when. I mean, as far as we know, they made these names up in the middle 1800s. They're J.P. Morgans and the Vanderbilts. They're like, oh, this house of royalty in America. It's like, stop it. It's just it's all just BS.
Exactly. It really is. It's all part of the Matrix, right?
It is.
Coming down.
It is. And, that's, the choice to know is for you. And the truth is learned. It's never told. We can help you, point you in the right direction if you guys, but really what you guys got to do is take the time, instead of watching a football game, instead of watching that TV show that you watch, go ahead and take the time and just do some research and start learning this for yourself, guys, because the truth is learned. It's never told, guys. And we are here to help with that. But, by just listening to us and not taking action, don't trust what Tiffany, don't trust what Shady, don't trust what Matrix says, but go research it for yourself. And that's it. We got one question too. Ask Tiff how the 5 media companies connect back to DC. And that's from Crux.
Well, they connect back to DC in ways that are staggering and will shock people. For example, a lot of the studio heads and the high level executives and the people on the board of these quote media companies are connected either by blood relation or by marriage to people who are high level people within the government, within Washington. Did you see that the brother of the deputy director of the CIA was on the last episode of Game of Thrones? Because his brother is the showrunner of Game of Thrones.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so I'll pull that up and send it to you so you can. I tweeted about it. So that just gives you an example of how the deep state is just the deep state, but that includes It includes Hollywood. It's not separate from. So there's a great picture of, I think, some sort of gathering, and everybody's at a table, and it's people from Netflix, and I think Obama's in the picture, and they're just gathered. It's a meeting of the minds. They're all just gathering, but it's across, Hollywood and Washington. If you just look at the Sony hack, right? You've got emails from the CEO of Sony, Michael Linton, with the State Department asking what celebrities can help shape anti-Russian messaging. Oh, Aaron Sorkin can do that for you. Matt Damon can do that for you. This is the State Department, the literal, I think it was the deputy director of the State Department. It was this undersecretary of the State Department talking with the CEO of Sony. So what is Sony? Is it a movie company? What is a Hollywood movie company anyway? It's all, the lines are all so blurred that, and through these series of events that have happened, all these leaks that have happened, we can have this picture, but we have to research, like Matrix was saying, and we have to know what we're looking at to know, wow, this is a really big deal. This isn't really, Hollywood is not what I thought it was. It's all connected to this power structure. It's called the swamp. It's all the same thing.
And the swamp thought we would follow the stars.
Yeah, because they belong to the swamp.
And Frank Zappa said that Hollywood was the propaganda arm of the Pentagon, and that pretty much no truer words were ever said. And this is this is the interesting thing with watching the mainstream media people freak out about Q and lie about Q and make stuff up about Q, because that is really what we are doing, and that is the threat. Is we are connecting the the bloodline family takeover of America in the early 1900s, all the way through all the stuff that you're talking about, Hollywood, the media compilation, and then consistently getting more and more consolidated, and leading into now where presenting the idea that Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Monsanto, Facebook, Twitter, all of those companies are the exact same thing as you're describing about Hollywood. There's zero separation between them and the deep state, and we were all brainwashed into handing over all of our information to be surveilled and then to be attacked by the deep state. I mean, look at what the head of the FBI did to a person running for president. If they can do that to Donald J. Trump. Trust me, they had the power to do it to anyone. Everything going back 20 years that was done in the FBI, CIA, DOJ has to be looked at as corrupt and as, probably phony. I mean, there's a lot of undoing to do out there.
By the way, Shady, Lisa in California says you sound like Frank Zappa.
I hear that a lot. I have his birthday.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Frank Zappa, and the fact that he said that quote. And can you say that quote again?
That Hollywood was the propaganda arm of the Pentagon.
Well, Frank Zappa would know, because Frank Zappa's father was a chemical warfare specialist assigned to the Edgewood Arsenal.
Yep.
And Frank Zappa grew up on the Edgewood Arsenal.
He sure did.
Yeah, which was basically a military, MK, Project Paperclip, MK Ultra military installation.
And a lot of people don't realize that other people like Neil Young, his family was intelligence. David Crosby's family was CIA. Joni Mitchell's family was CIA. Jim Morrison's dad was the admiral on the ship of the that started the Vietnam War, the Gulf of Tonkin. Right, like all of these connections are from Hollywood and the worship of Baal or Satan or whatever you want to call it. They all are born out of that, going back to, we initiated the hippie movement of the 60s to control that, to start to implement communism in America. I mean, that is what that generation was all about. It wasn't about free love and waking up. It was about tricking people into what was important in life.
Laurel Canyon, right?
Yep, Laurel Canyon. If you guys haven't read that, I'll find the link in the background here real quick. But yeah, the misadventure or the mostly true story of Laurel Canyon is an amazing dig, a great piece of research from way back, man. But yeah, Tiffany, you're exactly right with Frank Zappa, and I think a lot of people out there would be stunned to know like older country music stars and their connection to
Grateful
CIA.
Dead.
Yeah.
So many people. The Beatles.
Yep, the Beatles were engineered. The Beatles were completely engineered, and if you start to look at the whole Tavistock connection of going back to the '60s and the music, like what she was talking about, like look at all the bands from Europe and from Britain, and especially during the '80s. That they weren't that good, but like they were being superimposed on us in this weird way. It's like, So it's really interesting to see how. They've used the music to move us into this position where, like Matrix said right there, they thought we'd follow the stars. They didn't really think they had to produce any stars anymore. They already had this, and now it's like it's all falling apart.
There's an interesting, I guess it's a political science axiom in political science, and it's basically that politics is downstream from culture. We don't think about it this way because politics gets the sort of starring role in our world right now, but it wasn't always this way. Politics is really just a result of culture. It's way downstream. And so in order to shape politics, you need to first shape culture. Well, what shapes culture? Music, TV, entertainment. So this is why people like, Barack Obama and all of these people left sort of Hollywood, left Washington, didn't necessarily achieve everything they wanted to achieve possibly. And guess where they went? Oh, they went to Hollywood. Why? Because Hollywood is at, way, way upstream. And that's how if you want to shape politics, that's where you need to start. So people need to understand how powerful culture really is and how culture is really shaped. And that's why music and movies have been used.
And let's just take that word, culture.
Mm-hmm. Break that one down.
Yeah.
Cult.
So true. God, that's
very
so true.
interesting. So Tiffany, what is is there like a top of the top on the Hollywood infiltration, or the bad actors, if you will? And what do you think in Hollywood? Are there good people in Hollywood that do want to bust out? Obviously we've got some people already talking out. What's your are people getting excited, or are they getting scared? Like what do you think the temperature is out there?
It's interesting because I hear from a lot of people, and I do have a lot of inside, I guess I would say, knowledge to know that there are a lot of people who are very good. There are a lot of obviously, of the below the line people are I would say they're sort of like the blue collar people of Hollywood in a way. It's the down to earth working class people of Hollywood. There's a real delineation, but these are the people who make the movies. The only people who are above the line is a much smaller handful of people. It's the writers, the producers, the actors, and the director. So everybody else who's involved in making any movie or making TV or anything in Hollywood, who is below the line, these people are not asked to sell their soul. If you can't influence somebody who to vote for, you don't, even the biggest special effects guy in the world, you don't know his name. If he's screaming go vote for Hillary Clinton, you go, who's that guy? No, it's these people aren't elevated to fame. So these people haven't been doing the things that the people above the line have had to do to be there. And there's millions of them. I mean, there's an incredible amount of people who I would say are reading the writing on the wall, who are tired. You would be very surprised to know, who are very tired of using their skills and their craft and their art to push narratives when they know exactly what these stories are being, shaped to do, and the narratives that are being put in them, because they have to make them, but they don't have a choice. So there's a lot of frustration. There's been a lot of frustration for a long time. And these are very good people. And I think there's people at the top who are very afraid. And I think it's people above even people like Harvey Weinstein. People like Harvey Weinstein, they look like the top to us. And they acted like the kingpin, and he was able to blackball anyone, and he was able to, ruin anyone's career. And nobody could hire them if Harvey Weinstein said not to hire them, or they would go down. That there has been that culture of fear in Hollywood. I never thought I'd see the day that Harvey Weinstein was not the kingpin of Hollywood. Right there, a power shift happened, and that was one person.
Sure
and
did.
There are people like David Geffen who are extraordinarily powerful, who I think have had
and extraordinarily sinister.
Yeah, I've had their hand in a lot of dark things. I think that Jeffrey Epstein getting nailed the second time, which is going to stick, has made. I mean, people are terrified. People like him are terrified, in my opinion, and to my knowledge.
I mean, look what he offered up.
Fun.
I mean, he offered up his house, his plane. He said they could have armed guards inside his house. I mean, he did everything he could do to get granted bail, and they flat said no. That is impressive.
No deal.
No deals. And that's what anons want out there. No deals.
By the way, blessed to teach. Rick is out there. Rick, God bless you. iPod out there. Tiffany's here. We have got an all-star crew today. Wow. Thank you guys. Reverend Rick, thank you so much for coming in today, my brother. God bless you. And Tiffany, you're doing amazing. Wow. This has been an amazing week, guys.
It has. And I feel this ramping up, and in a way of, I think that when, the Epstein getting arrested, I think it is a really big deal. It's the web that connects to everything.
Well, yeah, we were talking.
It's the keystone. Q says, "Is that the keystone? Is this it? Is this the NXIVM, the Epstein? All of this coming in? Is this what it is?
This is the one thing that connects everything, that keeps the whole thing in check and in balance. And I think that's exactly right. Q talking about Allison Mack, or Ray Chandler is Allison Mack times 100, and seeing what the panic. Just the in general panic out there in the media. I mean, like what's going on CNN and MSNBC, really does. I mean, I've had so many people call me and just be like out of the blue. Even a couple people have contacted me in the last couple of weeks, and they're just like, hey, what's going on? Like they're completely, they're really not exposed to Fox News. Most people think, they're programmed to think that Fox News is propaganda, like way against them, which I'm, not going to promote Fox News by any means, but but they're confused. They do not understand what is going on and why the media over and over and over again are getting things wrong. And then the whole the Mueller report kind of fell completely flat. And now, I mean, it's just like it was like a snap, Tiffany. It was like somebody woke people up out of a dream. They're like, whoa, and you can almost feel the shift from center left to center right, and everyone like coming, waking up all of a sudden, and you see 25 people in front of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and you're watching Donald Trump fill up a stadium, and you're still looking at them saying he barely has a 50% approval rating, while he's combating these trolls, for lack of a better term, in Congress who do call our country garbage and do say that we're not to be respected and don't condemn people that attack us, don't condemn Antifa, don't condemn anyone who does anything violent, and march around like there's some sort of moral compass to us. And I think we're all just a little tired of it.
Absolutely.
Well, and one thing people don't realize, and well, I think I've said it here before too, but media is a word in and of itself. It's media comes from Babylonian times, where Syria is today. There was a city called Medes, and in that city called Medes, there was a tribe called the Magi tribe, where magic with a K and magic with a C was invented. And when the ruling power at that time couldn't get what they wanted done through blood and war, they would turn to the wizards of Medes to cast a spell on the population.
Yes.
Hence, media.
Yes.
That tells you everything that you need to know about the media in Hollywood and what it actually is.
That's why we are the news now. We are not the media. We are the news.
Well, you're definitely the news, because I woke up in the morning of the Q baby thing, and I was like, if we had I was so frustrated, because I was like, oh, I just want like a real Good Morning America or something to be able to like have this girl on and this baby on, because I want to know. I have so many questions, whatever. And then I saw that you guys had them on, and I was like, oh, okay, we do have a media now.
We do.
We do. You just replaced the Today Show, basically.
And
that
you know
was
what?
awesome.
That video didn't go as viral as I thought, because there's still a lot of weird haters out there. But that video should have hundreds of thousands of views, and maybe it does, because YouTube censors us in a big way. Because I went to the Orlando rally and people knew intheMatrixxx, and I never heard PAY tree at once or any of the weird things. I'm going to go ahead and drop the YouTube video here. It's got 12,000 views on Periscope and only 6,000 views. iPod, bless the teach, if you guys want to use any of it, or call them up. They're awesome people. In that video too that I just dropped, their social media is on there too, so you can guys get a hold of them yourself. But yeah, I called them up. I'm like, we need to get these people on. So I just sent a message, and sure enough, I got the answer, and we got them on at 1 o'clock p.m. on what was that?
Thursday. The day after Q Day, and they were so sweet, and you could tell that they stayed up like late at night. They were so shy. I mean, I just can't imagine having the president of the United States react like that to your child. I mean, just what a moment you have to imagine. They were so excited and so beautiful, and
where we go onesie, we go all.
Where we go onesie, exactly. Where we go onesie, we go allsies.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it was really incredible. And Tiffany, from what you're seeing and stuff, I think there was someone out there that maybe wanted to wrap back around to maybe just get a little bit. I know that last time we were on, you and I had a discussion about Isaac Cappy and what was going on with him about 3 or 4 months ago, before the unfortunate events that transpired. But I didn't know if you wanted to maybe circle back around and have a moment to speak about him for a second.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so sad. It's so tragic. Yeah. I've not really addressed it a lot, just because he was my friend, and he gave me the courage to come out in a lot of ways. We spoke before anyone in the world really knew any of this, and we were trying to help each other be brave enough to come out publicly. So it's definitely been really not awesome, not great, very hard. And not something I want to talk a ton about, but
right.
He was somebody who really just tried his best. And, I think he had his own difficulties that he was dealing with as a person. And so I don't think that it was just very different for him as it is for me. We're very different people. We have very different lives. We have very different talents. And so I think it's by nature, it's harder for actors. I'm like, well, I'm going to just build something new because I'm a writer. and they need, we're the manufacturers of Hollywood, and by nature, actors are like, okay, well, it all starts with the script in a way. So there's this whole disempowered psyop that Hollywood does. And he felt that helplessness about what he had done to his career, coming out and doing these things. He was never going to work again. And it's not like he can just go, build a new Hollywood like a writer can. So I think there was a lot of different factors going on that, made him, I guess, make himself more of a target. But it's just so unfortunate. And I think he had a really beautiful spirit and a really beautiful soul. And I hate that he's not here. It's awful.
Yeah, he was definitely a fan too. He's retweeted a couple of times. Did you see the video that people put out, that Isaac Cappy put out, that the children in the bath? I didn't really quantitate that or prove that. I didn't see it, but I don't know if people did, but wow, pray for Cappy.
Yeah, I didn't follow all the stuff that was coming. I mean, was this after?
Yeah, it was like, well, as people were pointing to it, like, there's actually some people. Yeah, there's actually some people acting like that. It was a place in Turkey. I'm not sure exactly where that was. They were somehow trying to connect that video with what Cappy was having regrets about.
I saw that.
But I don't really know if that was accurate. I just know that there was a lot of rumor around that out there, and you could tell that Isaac Cappy had some troubled stuff, but he knew a lot, and we just see this over and over again from these folks who really do act like they want to share information, but they have such a mind control narrative over them that makes them feel, like you were saying, so unsafe. And really, I mean, look at people like what's his name, Quaid, what's his first name, that went to Canada. They try. I mean, they've literally attempted to kill him like 4 or 5 times. I mean, he is for whatever reason, he's a major threat to them, and they've been trying to off him for a while.
I think Roseanne is a threat. I think that anybody who's off message is a threat, and it's not the way the world should be, right? Because that it all goes back to this controlled influence, this owned influence. And she made enough money and was powerful enough to where it was, she was sort of riding her own ticket and had her own thoughts. And Roseanne's always had her own mind. And it's been dangerous in Hollywood to be off message.
Five. Even on Twitter, when you're fighting the deep state, when you're on Hillary Clinton's top 200 list. I love it. But Roseanne Barr I just have so much respect for her. When she had the guts to tweet about Q in the beginning, and she retweeted a couple of times my account, Tom Arnold actually said that I was Q and was threatening her.
He did.
Back in the day. I mean, and I went to her Twitter and after Hillary Clinton, said, have a great day. And then later that day, I went in there and I showed that George Soros was happy at 14 of, being a Nazi and has no regrets. And people don't realize today that, 14 today is a lot different than 14 then. I even went to her defense, in regards to, what was it? The Planet of the Apes lady. What's her name?
Valerie Jarrett.
Yeah, Valerie Jarrett.
Nice reference term. That's what got everybody in trouble to begin with.
But that's funny. Roseanne Barr is a comedian, and that is funny.
It's supposed to be funny.
So I did a whole Valerie Jarrett thread about Muslim Brotherhood, and I actually said that, that wasn't really a joke. That was actually a warning from Miss Roseanne Barr. Very amazing tweet that she had. It was
misconstrued in a lot of ways. Her comment was misconstrued in a lot of ways. And you saw the power of the media machine when it turned on her and how powerful it is. Roseanne has Black people in her family.
I know.
She has grandchildren who came to her and said, Grandma, the whole world is saying you're racist. This is a woman who has a 30-year track record of not being a racist.
So not, yeah.
So you have to, just the media machine and what it can do when it turns on you. It's a lesson for everybody else not to speak out and not to get off message.
Right, people get
someone
afraid.
right now who's being really brave is Bella Thorne.
Oh yeah. Oh, real quick. Blessed to Teach says, so proud of you, Tiffany, for being in this fight. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, thank you. I'm so proud of all of you guys for just being so engaged. And I know every day is not easy because it feels like, we're still living in this, world that is messed up in so many ways. But every one of you guys who's listening is making it every day a better and better world and a more and more righteous and truth filled world. So I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Shady, do we play that little video? Who's the person that just came out that you were speaking of? And I'm so sorry if I interrupted you guys.
Yeah, no,
But
Bella Thorne. She's a Disney star. I've posted 2 videos of her on my Twitter in the last 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, I think we were
You wanna
discussing her earlier, Matrix. She's the Disney person who's really finding her power and talking out and saying these people saw me being abused, they did nothing. I mean, pretty amazing stuff what she's saying, and strength. And anyone out there too, guys, just to put this in your minds, recognize these people who stand up and speak about this are doing something so monumentally brave that we're not even going to see the whole breadth of this until the future. You see but they are being so brave, and recognize that more so than not, people in their real realities don't believe them. I mean, you go tell people, oh, they were mind controlling me and they were passing me around between high level politicians, and no, there's X amount of the reality that you think no one's going to believe you when you say this stuff. It keeps them very quiet.
The person who was abusing her had access to her at all hours, was not a stepfather, was not her father. It was a handler, and he lived in her house until she moved out when she was 18, moved out for her life. He moved out a week later. This is a person who drove her to set. He was on set with her all day, every day. Bella Thorne there were stories when she was on Shake It Up, she was falling asleep on set, and she was very, very anorexic by the time the show was, in its 2nd and 3rd season. And I know people who were on that show and have talked to them. And this creepy older guy was never not with her. And that was her Disney handler. And this is how that works. And it's, in order to create an Ariana Grande, you have to fracture the mind. You look at Ariana Grande, that child's mind is fractured. You're not looking at a person who's whole. And that's why she's able to be this sex kitten alter. That's why she's able to be that or be this and doesn't ever go off message. She's the perfect little mind control slave right now, right? But that's how you create one. It's part of why there's no Hollywood without child sex abuse.
Right. And then
so it's so hard for people to wrap their head around, but this is the reality. Bella Thorne's really talking about it.
Absolutely. Maybe I've got it here. I'm gonna drop back here and I'm gonna play this 1-minute clip that you have on your Twitter for these guys so they can hear what you're talking about here. Hang on a second, let me get over there to you. Here we go.
Yep, and I'm dropping the Bella Thorne Twitter from so you guys can have it too and retweet it. Wow, it's got over 730,000 views. Wow.
People are waking up, man.
Apart. They, Twitter, it is what it is. It had about 8,000 views right away, and Twitter took it back down to 0. And then Twitter was hiding it. I mean, so who knows what it really has? I mean, who knows?
A lot more than this. All right, let's check it out, guys.
But it is what it is. Like, it's like anything in my life. I mean, if you read the book, you'll be like, transitioning from Disney to this was fucking easy. I don't know. Getting molested from your 6 to your 14 seems like way harder circumstances, or being physically abused all the time seems like a much more difficult situation than fucking have paparazzi following you since you were 12. I don't know. I was still being molested when paparazzi were still fucking following me. So it's pretty hard in my mind to think about these big flashlight photographs and everyone thinking they know me and talking about me, but having no idea the type of mistreatment that I was still dealing with at that time, that everyone around me saw and did nothing. So I don't know. You tell me what's so hard. Because that to me way harder than any other of this other shit that I do on a daily basis.
Somebody just said goosebumps.
Wow. I mean, that's the reality.
Wow.
That's the reality of what we're all dealing with and what we're talking about here, guys. It's not going to be easy, and it's really
hard to hear.
It's hard to hear, and it's hard for me to decide on a daily basis, Matrix, like how we're going to approach it. What we're going to say about it. We got to be honest. We have to be upfront. We have to discuss these things. Like you were saying, we speak the armor of God. We put this on, and we talk about it, and we recognize that we're in a position of great great care. We have to be good stewards to the message, but we also can't ignore the truth. And an emotional response to things has to kind of be set aside so that we can explore further. And Tiffany, I just really, I know I've said it a couple of times already tonight, but I just really can't say enough about you and your projects and the beautiful light that you bring to this world, girl. I just really can't I can't say enough about the future that I think we all have, and how we're going to change and re-engineer and reorient this conversation and all come together and speak together and develop systems where we can come together. I think that being in a room like this with people who come into the chat and who are interactive, who ask questions, this is more of a display in real time of what news is and what we get to a larger overarching point, and then sharing the information that's easier to pass along with each other comes whenever we're having a group discussion like this. I just really, that's why I appreciate so much time that Matrix and I do, and having Paul Saran and Carly and JT and all these different people coming to this voice, and Tori and you, Tiffany, and every single person. Like you said, it's not just the people that are content creators out there. It's the people that are paying attention to the message and sharing it with a sibling, or sharing it with your family member, or even sharing it with someone that maybe you shouldn't, but you feel compelled to, and then it turns into a situation that's negatively affecting a relationship. Even that is a warrior spirit. That's a light warrior to bring truth and love, and that's what we're here to amplify and recognize, I think.
Yeah, and Tiffany, how can the fine patriots here, what's the best way to support you?
If they want to support me in helping me build and helping me get this documentary out, they can. I self-published a trilogy that when I got really sick of Hollywood and everything like that. And that is called The Oldest Soul. And I'm hoping to make it into a trilogy of feature films, which I know one day it will be. They can read that, buy that. That's a huge, amazing, incredible way to support me. And I do have a Patreon, which I don't promote it much, but it's in terms of helping me out, it's huge. If people see and know that, or could really see the things I'm trying to build, and the money that I've put into making a documentary for the world, and it's really been me going out on my husband and I were just operating on absolute faith at this point, and the people that we're working with to help us, but so
I just bought it.
Yeah, I don't usually share the struggles, but because I'm more of like hey, you guys, everything's going to be fine. People keep calling me the mom of the internet. Like I've gotten that like so many times lately. So I'm like, I'll take that. But if anybody does want to help me out, I do have on my website, you can go, I do have merchandise that is really cool t-shirts. One of them
I was just showing some of that.
Oh yeah. One of them says, ask me about the sealed indictments.
I saw it.
Yeah,
I love that one.
That's a really funny one. And Hollywood is canceled. Just cool t-shirts that, how to break the prison pyramid and stuff like that. T-shirts that if you wear, people are going to ask you about them, and you can, start a conversation about these topics. So those are 3 really awesome ways to support me. And then just, I'm out there on Twitter, usually tweeting, a couple of things at least every day. So, check that timeline and, go there and retweet. And I get a lot of censorship from, Twitter and the like. And so just those kind of ways are awesome ways to support me.
And so there you
Awesome.
go, guys, man. This is a couple of great ways that we can support Patriot research. This is exactly what we need in our realities, is more of this. You've seen lots and lots of stuff from Tiffany, and also we've had Blessed to Teach out here, iPod in the chat. This unity reaction to our love of country and love of freedom is coalescing together and emerging. I mean, like Matrix, you were pointing out the apocalypse. The apocalypse is their apocalypse. We are destroying them. That was the plan from the beginning, was for us to destroy them. And it really is it really does make me step back into a humble moment and say, wow, a long time ago, I think that a lot of us gathered in a place far, far away and said, okay, here we go. We're going to go save Earth, and I think that here we are, and the plan is working, and we're really blessed to have this gentleman, President Donald J. Trump, leading us, and not only taking these slings and arrows, but he's firing all the cannonballs right now, guys. I really feel like this is the moment. This is our
The Great
moment.
Awakening.
The Great Awakening has occurred, and Q has amplified us. He's amplified each of us in our own beautiful, spirited way.
It's wonderful.
It's so important to if we want to build things that don't exist yet. We have this system that's broken. The best way to destroy that system is to support people creating things outside that system, and that just takes power and places it where we want it with the people who we want to have it. So that is how we do that.
You mean people doing this for a living are not Patriots? They're actually people that are trying to help the awakening and not funded by the C_A and the clowns, right? I mean, come on, guys. We need to understand what's really happening here, guys.
If people think that Disney is satanic and they're starting to come to these conclusions, and they want somebody like me to go rival them,
boom.
I'm gonna need, I don't have a couple $100 million sitting around. I don't, so and if you don't want people like me to sell their soul to the system, which that's not even an option for me, but people do need to choose wisely about, do I want to go buy a book that was, published by Random House, or, that was part of the machine and went through the matrix of control? Or do I want to go buy Tiffany's book, where the only person, who decided what was going to be in it was her, and is exactly what she wants to write, and nobody censored her. It's about what you're feeding yourself as well. It's like, you want to go turn on the Today Show and just get fed, like garbage, like a cattle, or turn on, Shady and Matrix and hear things that you're not going to hear on mainstream TV. So
yep. And Bless to Teach and iPod. Like when I go on Bless to Teach, I help him out too. And he just helped us out too. Thank you very much, Rick. Tiffany, I just bought the 3-book series for $25.97 for 3 items. It's sold by Amazon Digital Services, and I bought it, and I can't wait to dig into it. And I'm going to get one of those. I love the Elite Apocalypse shirt. I think I'm going to go grab one of those too. So Patriots supports Patriots. Okay, guys, this Patriot spell that they've cast on you, it's over. It's over, guys. We are the news now. And Tiffany, wow, I just love having you on the show, and Shady, and I'm addicted to the Q Lounge Live. So happy to be a part of it, Shady.
Man, I just really don't have there's just not enough. I just really cannot say enough. It's over. It's over. And beyond anything that I could have ever imagined that this movement could have become in a year and a half. If you'd have told us a year and a half ago that within a year and a half that we would all be sitting here and we would have the deep state completely freaking out in the news in front of us, not making any sense, and everyone in Hollywood saying some of the most heinous, derogatory things about a seemingly genuine president. I mean, you would really, we would all have been kind of flustered to believe a scenario like that, right? So this is pretty incredible times, guys. Pretty incredible. And to you, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming around. I think I'm going to fall over here, and I want to get everybody fired up here real quick before we end the show with some JT Wild from Field of Fight, guys. Let's check out some JT and sit back for just a second.
This song goes out to General Flynn, the Q Army, and everybody that's donated to the Mike Flynn Defense Fund, and bought the book Field of Fight. This is called Field of Fight. walking across the desert, stone, dust, and blood, praying for an answer to the good Lord up above. How can just one man be the shelter from the storm, knowing that the real war has only just begun? Well, he's a soldier with a heart of stone. He dreams of finally coming home. A warrior with an eagle's might. He runs across the desert night and he lays his own body down in this field of fight. Fall without a question will be redeemed. Their sacrifice will not be in vain. 'Cause the man that led them strong, he still remains. Tell his soldier story, make it right again. Well, he's a soldier with a heart of stone, dreams of finally coming home. Warrior with an eagle's might. He runs across the desert night and he lays his own body down on this field of fight. Yeah, this field of fight. And after 33 years of kicking, gnashing, taking flames, he's looking at a country that he helped save. He's a soldier with a heart of gold. Now he's finally coming home. A hero with a general's might. He surfs across the ocean night and he laid his own body down on that field of fight. A field of fight, yeah. Yeah, we all lay our bodies down on this field.
JT Wild, guys.
Where we go one, we go all. JT Wild.
Everybody, wow. Much love to JT out there. That was recorded by in the Matrix. We were live on site in front of that lake, Matrix.
That was filmed by me. I love it. And remember, Shady, let's tell the little quick story about this real quick.
Do it.
This was done out in Seattle when we were all together, and we were at this beautiful, beautiful home that we rented. So nobody knew where we were. And, and we wanted to just be together. And JT said, "Hey, I got this song that I'm working on. I don't think it's done yet." And he played it. And what did you say, Shady?
I was like, man, that sounds like it's done.
That song is done. So the very next day, we all went out and we went down by the lake there, and I filmed them. We took that was the second take,
yeah,
and it was amazing. And then JT and Shady brought his guitar too, and Shady and JT were playing the guitar, and I was up on the up on the I guess the deck, and I saw this cool bird just go vroom, and then I looked up right where that bird went. Two beautiful male bald eagles and two beautiful female bald eagles flew one way over JT and Shady, and then flew right back again, right over them, guys. It was the most amazing sight I've ever seen in my entire life. It was absolutely beautiful.
So much fun. It was so great to actually hang out with these guys and be with them. Tiffany, we got to hang out for almost a whole week with each other, and we went around and got to go see. We went out to the Puget Sound, and we ended up like right near Ketron Island, and so we were like taking pictures and stuff of Ketron Island.
Yeah,
and
there's a shovel there, Shady. What are shovels used? What are shovels used for, Shady?
Digging.
I love it every time.
I'm on that. I got sometimes as a guitar though. We've learned it can be used for other things. Man, oh man, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming over and hanging out with us again. We're gonna have to do this more often.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We
All
absolutely
right.
have to. And I think as the dam continues to break, this is going to be fun. This is the fun part we're about to come into.
We're going to have Tiffany back a lot, guys, because we definitely feel like that she is one of the research generals in this army. She really has been bringing some pain and bringing some sauce, like we love to say. Tiffany, thanks so much. If there's any last words you'd like to say to all the great, wonderful people out there, it looks like we got like 500 or 600 people still hanging with us.
Thank you,
and checking in with you. And feel free to give some last words or something.
Yeah, just, go ahead and check out my website as well. There's a brand new article up there about the Disney star who passed away. And it's just so important to start sharing these things with your friends and family to try to help soften the blow of everything that is coming, because there's no stopping it. I think we all know that. And so if people can really start to understand this in a gentler way, and I like to deliver things with humor, because that's part of how I write. And it helps out. So just go ahead and read some of those articles and share, because it's all coming, and it's everything we've been working on and waiting for.
Man, oh man.
Well said,
yeah. Maybe guys, go ahead and give Tiffany some love. Drop some 17s. Let's drop some 17s out there for Tiffany, and for her being so gracious to come on and share her time with us this Friday evening, and give you guys some red pills to work with. And that is exactly what our mission is here, guys, is to pass out the red pills like they're candy. Matrix, that's kind of what we've been doing all week, and we just keep getting over the target, and we just keep bringing the sauce. I mean, people are liking it out there, brother.
Just so honored to have Blessed to Teach, iPod in here. You guys, Angela, great to have you. Donnie, Charla, Nancy, Lou, April, Isis, Snapper, Paint, Crux, Bonanon, thank you, and Deplorable Freedom Fighter, great to see you. Mary Schmitz, Susannanon, Mark, you're awesome. You guys, Mike Hess, Lisa in California, Cisco Lady Liberty, we love her. All of you guys are amazing, and I am just so blessed to be here with you every day. And if it wasn't without you, we wouldn't be able to do it. So with that, Shady, man, I just love you, Tiffany, love you, Shady, love every single one of you out there. What a long week. What a great week. I mean, I want more. Let's do more. Come on.
I hear you, Matrix. Let's definitely do more. Guys, please get over there and check out all of Tiffany's stuff and give her some support. Give her as much love as you give us out there. She really deserves it. She's been bringing pain for a long time, and everyone here is going to eventually be faced with the stark reality of others in your life asking you for information and trying to get you to share something with them. So please, 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 please do that in the highest regards and in the utmost presence of stewardship of the truth. The information is yours. That's what Matrix and I are trying to share with you. You are the news because you've got the information. You know whenever they're lying to you. That's what the information is all about. You're wise to their shenanigans out there. They're not going to win. They're not even going to come close. They are scared and frantic, panic in DC. Worldwide bloodline cabal panic that has never existed in probably the 6,000 years that they've been harvesting us, guys. These are going to be some major things that we discuss in the very, very near future. So thanks so much, everyone, for coming out and joining us on the Matrix Groove Hour every Monday through Friday from 1 o'clock until who knows when on the East Coast, because we never get it done in an hour. And thanks for coming over here on the Q Lounge Live tonight and joining me and Matrix and Tiffany Fitzhenry, bringing some really high quality information to you. And also, please feel free to post on the YouTube comments below. If someone asks you a question, don't hesitate to help them out. Or if you can't answer them, maybe direct them to one of us, because we would love to try, because that's what we're here to do. We are here to spread the notion that there is a clear line between the truth and the lie. And the lie is that they are the global elite. The truth is that you are the global elite. The men and women and children who respect and honor and love freedom, liberty, and America. That's who wins this war, guys. No one else stands a chance. They don't even even have a foot in the door compared to what we're going to do. We are going to crush them. Guys, if you haven't, please get out there and check out other great citizen journalists. Jordan Say, The Praying Medic, Serial Brain 2, iPot in the house tonight. SGT Report, Lisa Mae Crowley, Dustin Nemos, JT Wild, X22 Report, Anon Decoder. Blessed to Teach in the house tonight. Carly Bonet in the house. Lionel Media, Stormy Patriot, Joe, Paul Saran on the shows every Thursday. Tori Says, Red State Radio. Guys, there's so many I can't even get to all of them. I really wish that I could, but let me tell you something. You guys are amazing. Every single day, you knock it out of the park, everyone. And with that, I'm going to get out of here, guys. We will see you at 1 p.m. on Monday on the East Coast. Much, much, much love, guys. Good night.
See the bids I'm built. When I roll 20 deep, so it's drama.